and welcome to another episode of POLI-TRICKS with Mercer Prescott and his bands of eclectic cronies. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, there's only one eclectic crony this time. That's Christopher Blue. Merc, do your thing.
All right, all right. We got a lot to talk about. We're just gonna jump right into it. So, before we get into the meat and potatoes of it, I was kind of lamenting on Facebook earlier. One of my friends I grew up with, back in Long Island, his wife was on Facebook, and she said that they live in Georgia, and she said that her 15-year-old daughter got called the N-word by some guy older than her. Like she's only 15. And she said the guy who called her that was probably maybe like in his early 20s, And it kind of made me lament a bit, I mean, where I grew up in Long Island wasn't like some perfect perfect little village. You know what I mean? We had racists in our town. It's not like, like we were unlike any place else. But at least to my memory, the racists were the anomalies. They were the outcasts, Now the racist are the president, and his racism is a feature. It's not a bug. You understand? And people like him, they empower other races. They come out of the woodwork. People who used to be hidden, now they're out and about. They're all over the place. Before we jump into meat and potatoes, I want to talk about Amy Cooper real quick. Probably going to talk about it a lot more on Saturday when we have the full crew. But Amy Cooper was basically, it was a video. Now, when I saw it, now what makes it confusing is that all people involved, all their last names are Cooper. But Amy Cooper was a white woman in Central Park in New York, in a section called the Bramble. And there are signs all over the place where you need to keep your dog on a leash. And she had a dog, and she was walking the dog off the leash. So a gentleman named Christian Cooper asked her to put her dog on a leash, and she flipped out and basically told him that she was going to call the cops on him. Well, first she got mad at him because he was taping her, right? And she got in his face a little bit, and then she said she was going to call the cops and tell them that an African-American man is threatening her life, right? And then she actually called the cops and pretended like she was crying and, said that African-American is threatening her and her dog, when he was doing no such thing. All he did was ask her to put her dog on a leash, So the cops showed up. They they're like, well, there's no wrongdoing here, so we're just going to drop it. And actually, since then, the video went viral because I think Christian Cooper put it on his Twitter feed, and then his sister, that's where I saw it, Melody Cooper, put it on her Twitter feed. So at least as of a couple of days ago, that video was viewed nearly 10 million times. So the woman since then has been, I had heard administrative leave in the article I'm reading now, but I'd heard that she had actually been let go by the investment firm that she worked for. And they even, in that video, she was like trying to make a phone call. She was manhandling her dog. I don't think she was doing it on purpose, but she almost strangled the poor thing, trying to get it back on its leash. And then the shelter that she got the dog from took the dog back. I don't mean to laugh at that, but they claimed that she voluntarily surrendered the dog. They probably just asked for it back,
But she was strangling the shit out of that dog when she was talking to that man. She was yoking that motherfucker up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And my thing is this, Blue. She proved me wrong. And I'm not going to say wrong. It kind of hit me in a bit of a blind spot. And I mentioned this more than once. I have friends who are not Black. And they basically were explaining to their friends who are also not Black about white privilege.
Oh, what'd you just say?
What?
You got friends that ain't Black? What?
I got friends that ain't Black.
No, shut up.
Yeah, it's true. Really?
Tell me how you did it.
I don't know. I just seen them on the street. I was like, you want to be best friends? And they were like, yeah, sure.
That's all you got to do?
That's all you got to do. Well, when you're kids,
I never had a white friend. That's crazy.
When you're kids, it's easy. Nobody really pays attention to that sort of stuff when you're kids.
Oh, I grew up in the rural South. Yeah, they didn't play that shit. Blacks and whites were definitely on two sides of the street.
Mm.
I would love to have a white friend.
Yeah, I had the luxury of growing up in a mixed neighborhood, so. But he was trying to explain to his friends and coworkers about white privilege, and I told him that, and this is me being naive, that basically it's not something that they can control because it's something that's actually like done to you, like other people giving you the benefit of the doubt over the color of your skin, right? And it's not something that you actually want. So I don't know if this particular person, this Karen here, as she's being called now, which is like a slang term for demanding white women, is she basically tried to weaponize her privilege. Because if you get on the phone and you tell the cops, hey, a black man's threatening my life, you think the cop's gonna show up and be like, hey, what's going on out here? Right? Especially in New York, or you think they're going to come with their clubs and guns drawn. Now, I know that may seem like it's being melodramatic. Remember when, God, there's so many of them that have died. Their names when I try to pull one's name, they all just jumble together because there's been so many over the last few years. But the young man who got killed playing with the toy gun, that cop jumped out of his car immediately with his gun out and just started shooting. No warnings, no nothing. Tamir Rice. Sorry. So she knew that if she called the cops and said that she was in danger, that those cops are going to come with their weapons drawn. And she knew that. So I do not accept her apology because she made an apology. I don't accept her apology at all. Do I think that she deserves to get death threats? I don't think so. But maybe now she'll know how it feels, because I'll tell you this. I've never been arrested, never been handcuffed by a cop. I don't commit crimes. I'm not a criminal, right?
Say how it feels. How does it feel?
What, to never been arrested?
You said now she knows how it feels?
Oh, now she knows how it feels.
How does it feel?
Because unfortunately, as an African American in the United States, it's almost like a constant death threat. Now, like I said, my risk is low. I live in a quiet town, so it's not like I live in the south side of Chicago. So for me, saying that might be a bit of hyperbole, but if you live in south side Chicago, if you live in Memphis, if you live in New York City, if you live in Los Angeles, if you're from Compton, right? That's a different matter altogether. Because all you gotta do is fit a description, and next thing you know, the cop could just snuff you out. And now when you have someone like this who's weaponizing that, I can't shed any tears for her. Now she's like, oh my God, my life is ruined. I don't care. I really don't, because she knew what she was doing. It's not like she didn't know she was being taped, because she got mad because he was taping her. So, but I'm like, what are you gonna do? She's paying the price for it, and I think that's what's supposed to happen in these situations. When you do something like that, you're supposed to pay the price for it. Because put it like this.
And I think that is utter bullshit. I don't think nobody should lose their job because they were racist in that particular type of incident. I don't think nobody should lose their dog because they mishandled him for a couple minutes because she was upset with a black guy. Honestly, if I was in Central Park and somebody ran up on me putting their video camera and they were another color, I probably would react negatively. What the fuck you looking at, ho? What the fuck you looking at, you cracker ass bitch? I can see myself doing these things. I'm not even mad at her. I don't think nobody should lose their livelihood because they become upset by being confronted by someone of the opposite race. That's bullshit. And I want her to get her job back. I want her to get her life back together. I want her to have learned from this lesson, but I don't think it should affect her livelihood.
And it's not like she's never going to work again. But the thing is, you represent the job where you work. Put it like this. You remember Ice-T when he was in that thrash metal band Body Count, and they made that song Cop Killer?
Dude, that was my shit. That's the first time I truly embraced hard rock music. And my
I,
sister
I
was rocking it for 20 years beforehand because she was all up on Skid Row and Molly Crew and Def Leppard and all that. And we used to tease her on our school bus, and we hurt her so bad. And she almost felt suicidal because the blacks always teased her because of her musical choices. But we just couldn't dig that because all we could fuck with was R&B, Quiet Storm, and rap. And we just couldn't understand why a black person would want to wear these funky ass punk rock T-shirts and listen to hard rock, heavy metal bullshit. You know what I'm saying? But now, as you get older and you appreciate music more, you can understand some of the why you would listen to it, especially like Skid Row, that had very poignant tales in their rock and roll music. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I never liked Skid Row. Like Skid Row, like all that hair metal stuff. I was more into thrash metal, like Metallica, Megadeth.
okay, even Metallica, like that one, the album with the one on it. You know what I'm saying? When the guy was a Vietnam veteran, and woo, if you just really took the time to listen and look at the visuals, you could have a greater appreciation for it.
Yeah, I mean, I used to get teased like that. Not like that, but I mean, I listened to.
You hang with white people.
I hung with some black people too now.
And they probably was Oreos like I was playing.
I mean, we had to, I mean, usually when that happened, it was all in jest because all my white friends listened to reggae and rap and stuff like that. So it was just all in jest. But some people do get bullied over stuff like that. Like if you're not like everybody else, you know, you do get, and some people do get teased pretty hard, and it kind of it gets to them, you know. So I could definitely understand that. But I mean, I look at it like this, you know.
Well, me and Sin, we used to be in this death metal band before, and we did this movie called Angel's Revenge. You remember Angel's Revenge, our top single?
Yes. It was badass.
Yeah.
But I do remember
badass.
growing up and listening to different music than other people and getting picked on. I remember one day someone posted a video, and it was this guy. He was in a car with his friends. He was dropping them off. He was listening to every bit of trap music. And it was like, what happens after you drop all your black friends off? And as soon as he took off, he started listening to like singing at the top of his lungs, like his favorite rock song. And I was like, I remember that being me when I was a teenager. Like I would listen to all the trap music, the Gucci and all that stuff in the car. But as soon as they got out, because I didn't want to hear their mouths, they weren't really diverse with music. I, put on, what was it back then? Trying to think of a group that I used to listen to. I know more recently, like groups like Paramore and stuff like that.
Okay. I love Paramore. Loved them.
Yeah. It's so many other ones I used to listen to when I was younger. I just can't think of the names right now. I probably have to scroll back like
that was me.
2, 3 years to my playlist.
Sitting in the car in the big 4-0. All right, Q, I see you later, man. All right, man, we see you later. Singing on the fence, loving my whole life, loving all the beautiful things. Yeah, that's all right. Woo!
Memories right
there. I will say this though. I mean, it's not like she's never going to find another job. I mean, someone else is going to hire her. She'll probably get her dog back, you know. But I think it should just be a cautionary tale to not weaponize your privilege against somebody else just for telling you, hey, maybe you should read that sign that says that you should have your dog on a leash in that park where you're supposed to have your dog on a leash. She went way too far, you know. But she'll be okay. I mean, it's not like she's going to be living in the streets.
Okay, you know what? And I'm going to tell myself. One day on New Bern Avenue here in Raleigh, I was going down the street, and apparently I must have been texting and driving again, and I accidentally cut somebody off. So they come around me, and they say, they cut me off. Fuck her, you fuck her. Oh, but lo and behold, how things work out. Oh, now we're at the same stop sign. So I get out my car, and I commence to cuss their ass out and commence to be verbally aggressive and threaten to whoop both of their asses. And then maybe I could have been put on a viral video as a therapist for a very lucrative company. Boom, I'm out of a job because of a one-time 5-second, 10-second interaction with a member of the opposite race, and I did not act appropriately when I called them every type of cracker and bigot and white redneck when it wasn't even their fault that they were angry. It was my fault. You know what I'm saying?
Well, as the gamers would say, the meta has shifted, you know, because now everybody got a camera, you know. Everybody's kind of forced to act right, because if you work for a large corporation, they don't want that type of representation. So they'll cut you loose in a hurry. So it's not like 20 years ago where you had to. I mean, put it like this: you think Rodney King got recorded on a camera phone? No, somebody actually. It was just a stroke of luck. Somebody just happened to have a video camera
There
with
was
them.
one of them old giant ones I used to have back in the day that had the big ass batteries as big as a damn, I don't know, half a gallon of milk.
Basically.
That was nothing but luck, because how often is somebody going to be out and about at that time of night with one of those kind of cameras? You know what I'm saying?
Right. It was just pure luck that somebody just happened to have a video camera on them like that. Now everybody got a phone in their pocket, a camera in their pocket. You just pull out your phone, you hit a button, and you're recording. So the meta has shifted. You gotta act right in public. Don't get me wrong. It's not like I've never done. I mean, I don't drive a car, so I've never been cut off like that. But you know, I've stuck my middle finger at somebody who who makes me run across the street when I'm in a goddamn crosswalk. You know, I've done off color stuff like that. So yeah, it happens. But
there's certain things I can't take. You know what I'm saying? You can't spit on me, and you really shouldn't put up your middle finger to me. It just does something to me. And then if you ever call me the N-word, I don't even like the N-word coming out of black people's mouths. But when it comes out of a white person's mouth, oh my gosh, you just committed suicide, you motherfucker, you.
yeah. So, but I digress. We'll probably talk more about that on Saturday, along with
Yeah, Saturday. But speaking of suicide, let's talk about these Democrats and Republicans. He's like, what?
I'll put it like this. It's not that far off, though, because, I mean, the Democrats are just pretty much just...
Man, stop stuttering, man.
The only reason...
Get it together, man. Stop stuttering.
The only reason why you figure...
What? Bro, what? Go ahead, Merce. I think you got the floor cleared now. I hope you do.
I was about to say he's there.
I put it like this. I'm kind of jumping around a little bit, so forgive me here, Blue. But when you talk about political parties committing suicide, right? You figure for the Democrats, it would just be so easy to win the election. All you gotta do is just be for the people, and that's it. It's done. The election's over. I know it's only May. It's barely June, but it would be over. I mean, you got Mitch McConnell right now talking about we're trying to end unemployment benefits. What? How could you not beat people like that? But Democrats are self-destructing. Let me put it like this, okay? Skipping ahead a little bit, so forgive me here, Blue, because I know you probably already had the slides in order. Bernie Sanders had 2.2 million individual donors, right? So 2.2 million people gave money to Bernie Sanders during the course of the election, right? I'll let you guys guess. How much of a percent of that number do you think gave money to Joe Biden? Just give it to me in the percentage.
5.
What percentage?
50%. 50%.
5%.
Way too high.
No
Blue.
more than 10.
Mercedes, what do you say?
I was gonna say around about 1.5.
What percent? 1.5. Actually, and Odie, at first you said 5%. You guys are like bookending it. 2.7%.
Yeah, no more than 10.
So out of the 2.2 Bernie Sanders, 2.7%. And I had to do the math on it, and I'm not so good with the math. I had to double and triple check it on such a simple equation because I was kind of like, really? I thought it'd be more than that.
Maybe his
well,
people,
put it like
his
this:
people donate more. Like Bernie's, yeah, he might have 2.2, $10 a piece, 20 million, you know, versus Biden, let's say the 2.2 million is 230,000, 220,000. Then maybe those people that give like $100, and then that still would equal the same, you know what I'm saying?
Well, it's not about the amount that they give, because Bernie Sanders, it's small dollar donations, right? The feature about Bernie Sanders is that a lot of his people, like I've given Bernie about maybe altogether, not a lot of money, like $50 altogether that I've given to Bernie Sanders. So I'm not like a huge donor. But what a lot of people were doing during the campaign is that they had reoccurring donations. So they had it set so every time they get paid, a little bit of money goes to Bernie. You know, so I don't know how many of those 2.2 million were reoccurring, but he had reoccurring payments. You know, I don't know what percentage of it, but you figure out of 2.2 million Bernie donors, only 60,000 donated to Joe Biden. You know, and at first I was like, when I did the math, I was like 27%. That's not bad, and I was like, no, that's not.
You say 60,000 out of 2.2 million. That's not 2.75. That's more like 0.8.
No, do the math. I had to do it a couple of times because at first I was like, I thought it was 27%. And I'm like, no, that's 2.7%. I got my decimals wrong. But what it is, it's basically when I listen to my neoliberal friends and I listen to MSNBC and all that stuff when I watch clips, because I don't actually watch MSNBC, but they're basically, their whole thing is, especially the ones on Twitter, Jesus Christ, they're just like, well, you know, they're like, well, the progressives are rallying behind Joe Biden. Why aren't you? You know, and they're really not. They're really not rallying behind Joe like that. You know, it's a wholesale. And in a way, I can't be mad that Biden is trying to court the suburban wine moms and the never Trumpers.
Yeah, I'm trying to court the suburban wine moms. You know what I'm saying?
All you need is wine. You don't need much else. It's funny how I take a goofy political term and just make it literal. Like they're all just drinking wine. They're all getting day drunk with their kids in the strollers. So,
dude, I go to these soccer games. That's exactly what they're doing.
They got
so I gotta be a
bag.
soccer mom to drink wine, because I drink wine all day for no reason, just to drink it. So I didn't have to be a soccer mom.
Who y'all thought I was talking about, son?
I do have a football team over here, so I'm fine.
But you figure Biden is actually, and somebody was talking about this the other day, that Biden could be in real trouble because Americans have short memories. We don't have long memories. I mean, progressives do, but it doesn't always serve our interests because we hold grudges. We don't let shit go. But Americans only really worry about what happened to them yesterday. That's why they have, what do they call it? The October surprise. You know what I mean? Like if something bad happens, they'll just go ahead and we're just gonna spring it in October, like late October, because the people will remember it going into election day. Because if they talk about it in July or August, they're gonna forget about it by November. Because we have short memories, you know? And you figure right now, Joe Biden is leading in all the polls handily. Why? Because the economy's tanking. Why is the economy tanking? Because Donald Trump is a moron, okay? He's an evil moron who listens to his doofus son-in-law. Like a lot of the missteps that Trump did is because he listened to Jared Kushner, the bar mitzvah boy. He always looks like he just finished completing his bar mitzvah, like he's a man now, you know? Or he looks like a mannequin that came to life. And then they just put him in a little suit, you know? He doesn't look like somebody who you should be taking advice from. But he doesn't really trust a lot of people, you know? And he doesn't like to listen to a lot of people. Like anybody who ever tells Trump what to do, they eventually get fired, you know? So the economy is tanking and it's basically Trump's fault. I don't care what it's not even my opinion. All the evidence is out there. People have put together day by day stuff about how Trump screwed this up. how Trump had the information, like we talked about before. The reason why it's called COVID-19 is because it was discovered in 2019. So they knew about this last year, and they still managed to screw it up. And because the economy is tanking, Joe Biden is getting a bump. The problem with that is Joe Biden doesn't do anything. In the states that he won, did he even campaign? Did he even show up in those states? No. So if the economy goes on an upswing, let's just say by August, the economy rebounds and people are going back to work and people, you know, what's going to happen to Joe Biden? Then they'll be like, hey, Joe Biden, the economy's rebounding. What's your plan against Trump? Because he didn't have anything. All my neoliberal friends, when I ask them, hey, what's Joe Biden's platform? They don't know. They have no clue what Joe Biden's platform is because he doesn't have one.
I watched a video the other day where I was like really, really frustrated about, it was a very clear question to me, where the woman asked, like, what are you going to do now that, like, basically the sum of it was, in retrospect, we know that the crime bill was fucked up. So what are you going to do to rectify it for the Black and brown people who were disproportionately affected from it? This motherfucker did not answer the question. He basically went on the defense and talked about why he voted for it at the time and like talked about some of the other things that were a part of that bill that were good things, but it just didn't answer the question. I was just like, there's your fucking chance. Like, just answer the fucking question. And it was no answer to it. And I was just like, this motherfucker ain't talking about nothing. I can't with him.
Yeah. That'd be like if the opposing pitcher told you, I'm just going to throw it right down the middle of the plate. All you got to do is just smack it over the fence like batting practice, and you still strike out. Matter of fact, you don't even swing. You just get caught looking. It's like you just stand there with the bat on your shoulder, and it's like, strike three, and you're just like, oh. That's a sound I associate most with Joe Biden. Oh. Because that's all that's in his head. His brain's a spaghetti right now. He doesn't know what he's doing.
What can I say to sound cooler than Obama? Since I'm riding his dick so hard.
Basically, I mean, put it like this. I'll tell you why Joe Biden is so cocky, okay? If you look back, I pulled this from New York Times, right? Their exit polls, right? From 1972 all the way to 2016, right? The black vote, okay? And forgive me if I you know, I was supposed to go back and find out who ran against Nixon in 72, and I forgot to put it in my notes. Because I could see his face in my mind, and I can't think of his name. But Nixon blew him out in 72. Like I think this dude lost almost every state, including his own home state, you know? But I think was it George McGovern? I think it was George McGovern. Nixon blew him out in 72. But McGovern still managed to get 82% of the black vote, okay? 76, Jimmy Carter, 83% of the black vote. Reagan in 1980 got 85%. I mean, not Reagan, I'm sorry. Who ran in 1980 against? Jimmy Carter ran against him in 80 and lost, but he got 85% of the black vote. 84, Walter Mondale ran, got 90% of the black vote, okay? 88, Michael Dukakis ran against George Bush, 86% of the black vote. Bill Clinton in 92 and 96, 83 and 84% respectively of the black vote, okay? 2000, what was it? Al Gore, 90% of the black vote. John Kerry, 88% of the black vote. Obama, 95 and then 93% of the black vote. Hillary got 88%. Okay? So you figure from 1972 on, no Democrat ever got less than 82% of the black vote. That's why Democrats are so cocky about the black vote. That's why Joe Biden could go on Charlemagne the God and tell you who's black and who's not black.
Yeah, that was arrogant and ridiculous.
Yeah, because in his mind, black people just vote Republican. I mean, they just vote Democrat, and that's it.
It's the truth.
You know, it's all in the numbers. You know, so. But the problem is, as Charlemagne said on Joanne Reid's show, Joanne Reid, I'm mad at her. I'm mad at Joanne Reid because I wanted to be mad at her, and she didn't give me a reason to be mad at her. Because she wasn't great, but she was reasonable. When she was talking with Charlemagne afterwards, after the whole Joe Biden debacle, they were talking about, Joe Biden's comments. And she wasn't her usual tap dancing self. And when I talked about the minstrel show, I was waiting for Joanne Reid to say something stupid, and she didn't say anything stupid. Now Simone Sanders, on the other hand, tippity tappity, tippity tappity, tippity tappity, tippity tappity. She was Savon Glovering it out there. Talk about, Joe Biden, he was just kidding. Shut the fuck up, Simone Sanders, you jackass. You know good and goddamn well he wasn't joking.
Whoa, watch the language. Our executive producer, Charles the Saint, has popped in.
Wow.
What's going on, Charles? But and I'm pretty sure Joe Biden's going to get at least 85% of the black vote. At least. I mean, there's no way he's not going to get that. But the problem is, people are starting to get a little bit more demanding. And we're
who are they gonna? It's all, a lot of people they prescribe to the lesser of two evils argument, and you can't be mad at them. If there's only those two choices, you have no choice if you go with that argument to go with Biden. So, yeah, that's what it's gonna be. Until we get a respectable Republican and a respectable Democrat, then maybe we can finally make a good choice and actually switch back to the party that supported us the most in our time in America since the 1600s, and that's the Republicans.
Nah. You know what I'm saying?
You gotta think. Let's be honest, man. Look. Republicans was it all up until what, the 50s, maybe?
Nah, you know what I'm saying? No, to I'm not saying nah to the basis of what you're saying. Just the part where you said that we're gonna get a respectable Democrat.
Yeah, respect. You're right. But what if, like, our homie Namashina Burns, what if she decides to go Republican? I can see her making a big impact with that, because I truly would want a smaller government. I want the government to have less influence on my life, and that's what the Republicans supposedly are about, right?
No, Republicans are not about small government. Republicans say they're about small government until they need a check. And when they need a check, then they want the government to be as big as they can, they want the government to be nice and big until that check clears. Because all these goofy ass rednecks and all these survivalists and all these people who are out there who were just like, keep your government hands off my health care, they'll change their name to Venezuela if it means they're going to get a stimulus check. So they're all full of shit. Okay, they're all about control. They're not about big government or small government. They're all about control, and they want to be the ones in control. So they're the ones who could tell a woman when they can and can't have sex, when they can and can't have an abortion. But when it comes to, telling them to stay inside so they don't affect other people, that's when they get a little, that's when they get a little punchy.
Let's talk about what else Republicans are up to.
I will say this. Republicans hate California. They can't stand California because California is basically mostly Democrat. They're a blue state and they're worth a ton of electoral votes, right?
So Republicans get rid of that bullshit. Man, I can't fucking stand the Electoral College. Fuck them hoes. That's slave shit, you know what I'm saying?
It basically is. It was basically made so that slave owning states can have a bigger stake in the elections, because they were not very populous, and slaves are only worth what, 3/5 of a person, and that was the compromise. They wanted to count slaves as an individual person, even though they had no other rights. And the compromise was they could be 3/5 of a person as far as population for representation, which when you think about it, it's pretty fucked up, you know? But this is from CNN, okay? Bear with me, it's gonna be a little bit of reading here, okay? The Republican National Committee and other Republican groups have filed a lawsuit against California to stop the state from mailing absentee ballots to all voters ahead of the 2020 general election, a move that was made in response to the coronavirus pandemic. Real quick, everybody has mail-in ballots, okay? Mail-in ballots are not something that they just made up because of the pandemic.
It's actually something my father uses because he's usually in Ghana around election time, the time of year. So he always mails in for big election.
Yeah. Soldiers use mail-in ballots. People who work out of state use mail-in ballots. Students use mail-in ballots if they're not registered at their college. Okay. So mail-in ballots have always been a thing. And mail-in ballots are actually safer than provisional ballots because mail-in ballots go straight to the municipal office. You know what I mean? So it's not like, so they're actually safer that way with mail-in ballots. So to continue, the suit comes after California Governor Gavin Newsom, a Democrat, announced this month that his state would move to encourage all voters to cast their ballots by mail in November, the most widespread expansion of vote by mail that has been announced as a result of the pandemic and in the nation's most populous state. Keep one thing in mind, okay? It's not about California itself. You really think the Republicans are going to win California, even with low turnout? No. California right now is a firewall, if you want to call it that. And I hate using that term firewall because all our firewalls fell in 2016, okay? Because Hillary sucks. So I hate using the term firewall as far as in electoral politics. But California is not going to flip. People talk about, oh, Texas is going to turn blue. No, they're not. At least not in my lifetime. So let's kill that noise for now. But what they don't want is they don't want other states to catch on to this. They don't want other states to start doing, hey, oh, California's going to balance everybody. Maybe we should do that. And if the most populous state in the union can just send out ballots to all their people, then a state like Montana or Wyoming or I don't know, South Carolina could do it. You know, and then all
I
the
actually
people.
saw a post from. I'm sorry, real quick. I was just gonna say, I saw a post from a social media friend who posted, "We the people vote no to vote by mail," and I'm like, but why? And somebody asked that question, and to be honest, this is somebody that's going to be most likely unfriended because I've just made an executive decision where I'm not gonna be entertaining people whose stance I don't really know. If I don't know where you stand on Black Lives Matter and you're white, I'm not gonna be your friend on social media, period. So she's like kind of at the top of that list anyway for that. But yeah, it was basically the post was like, vote no. And somebody asked like, well, why? And she hasn't responded yet. I'm really curious, like, what the fuck is the objection other than what you're getting at, which is, they don't want people to catch on.
Yeah. Because it's been a proven fact that whenever voter turnout is low, Republicans usually win. And whenever voter turnout is high, Democrats usually win. Why? Because Democrats usually, if there's a good candidate, they usually bring out people who don't normally vote. That was one of Bernie Sanders' strengths, and unfortunately it didn't help him in this election. You know, he got kneecapped out there. But one of the things that Bernie Sanders was really good at doing was getting people who don't normally vote, people who were disillusioned with the system, to come out and vote. You know, that was one of his strengths. And like I said, it didn't help him. But now, you know, they're trying to harness that for their election, and it's not really working out so well. But they don't want people to be involved in the system. They want to keep people discouraged. Now, I know my friends are always getting on me because I've made it quite clear that Biden's not getting my vote, but I am going to vote down ticket That's for damn sure. You know. So
Dude, if you pull that
stop.
bullshit you pulled in 2016, I'm gonna come to Cary and beat your ass.
I'll tell you what, Blue. I'll give you the address and I'll leave my door open because I ain't voting for Joe Biden.
Then prepare your ass for an ass whooping. You got 6 months to get your shit in shape and get fight ready. It's on and popping, and I'm putting this bitch.
I'm not. Go with Joe's ass. I say you need to take that energy to Joe door.
I'm taking it to Mercer door. I know where Mercer lives at. Ain't nobody gonna kick ain't gonna arrest me for beating Mercer's ass. I get probably killed for messing with Biden.
He was like, Mercer ain't got no Secret Service. I can get the Mercer. I can't get the Joe.
He ain't gonna do shit.
All right, sit right there. You forget, man. Y'all must forgot. Sin no, don't fuck with me.
I'll put it like this, okay? Yes, the Democrats are terrible. Democratic leadership is nothing more than whores for the corporations. But Republicans are far worse. And like I said, the only reason that the Republicans hold public office is through cheating. Why is Brian Kemp the governor of Georgia? Because he cheated his ass off. And did Republicans come back and say, well, what Brian did was wrong? No. They kept their mouth shut about it, right? I'm pretty sure a lot of them are trying to run for Secretary of State in their state so they can go ahead and just purge thousands and thousands of minority ballots, minority voters off the rolls so they can win elections. I'm pretty sure that's happening right now. Republicans constantly pass voter ID laws to make it harder for minorities to vote. And then they go as far as to limit early voting, which they did in North Carolina, close polling places, and close DMVs where folks in rural areas would go to get the very ID that they need to vote. So the only reason why Republicans are against vote by mail is because they don't want people who normally don't vote to have a means to vote. So if you're out someplace rural in Georgia, right, and you can't get to a polling place because they close all the polling places in your area, now a ballot has come in the mail. All you gotta do is fill it out and put it in the mailbox, and now you voted. That's what they don't want. They don't want the people who they've disenfranchised to get involved in the political process. That's all that is. So they can talk all the horse shit they want about, it's an illegal power grab, it's a recipe for disaster. That's their actual quote. I'm like, but how? Is that a recipe for disaster? They won't say. It's just hyperbole to make people think that, voting by mail is bad, like Odie's friend, like, that it's a bad thing. I'm like, you guys have got to be the most anti-American folks I've ever seen in my life. Because if you're against people voting, there's not much more anti-American than being against voting. And I'm not talking about, people like, yes, people may get on people who don't want to vote. But to take away their right to vote, that's a different matter altogether. I will say this, I just jumping subjects, I got lucky. I was on Amazon. I was trying to find, I bought masks, like the disposable ones, but I wanted to get one of those reusable ones, the ones with the filters.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of confusing because it was just like, well, I've been hearing about N95, and then it was like N97. And I was like, what's the difference between N95 and N97? I was asking my friends, and one of them, her husband was selling masks, right? Was selling they had N95 masks, and they're actually and she's not gonna charge me, she's gonna send me some. And I
just got some that I ordered the other day, and they came from China, so first thing I did was put it in the washing machine.
I do not blame you. I don't know where my mask came from. I don't think they came from China, but I'm pretty sure they came from someplace in Asia because it took forever for it to get to me.
Yeah.
And then something else I ordered that ended up coming from China didn't even pass customs. So they gave me my money back.
Yeah, that happened to a couple of things I had, yo. I was like, woo, thank goodness, because I needed that money back.
my realtor that sold me this house or worked with me to purchase the house, she actually sent like masks in the mail and just said like there was a sticker on it that said courtesy of her name, courtesy of Teresa
Yeah,
Pitt.
okay.
And I was like, okay, that's good branding, why not? And it's like it's one of the disposable ones, so
Okay. I'll tell you one thing. Here's how cheap I am. They finally had hand sanitizer in my supermarket, but in an end cap right at the beginning of the store, but it was like a quart of hand sanitizer, like a giant bottle of hand sanitizer for like $18. I'm like, I just need a little thing of hand sanitizer I could just put on my bathroom sink or put on my desk when I'm at work and just squirt a little bit. I mean, you don't need it's not like lotion. You don't need that much hand sanitizer to sanitize your hands, you know? But it's kind of crazy. But I mean, we were talking before about Trump's response to coronavirus, right? Coronavirus is, I think, and when I put that up there, when I really wrote it for Blue, I said it nears 100,000. So when I was writing the show yesterday, they were at 98,000 deaths, right? Today, I believe it passed 100,000. So there are now 100,000 coronavirus deaths in the United States alone. That is approximately 33.5 September 11th.
Dude, you supposed to give me the update. You got my slide looking all funky now.
I got my notes looking funky. I still had 98,000 on my notes. You know, so it's anybody who says at this point that all this happening now is not Trump's fault they're just stupid. I'm just gonna come right out and say it because it's all right there. Okay, you figure. Now let me ask you a question. Well, not a question, but I'll also say this. Anybody who thought that even if Trump acted quickly, that there wouldn't be at least 10 or 20,000 deaths, that would also be stupid. Somebody was taking a cutback on this. This is it's an extremely deadly, extremely, I mean, two people in the same room, like put it like this. If I had coronavirus, right? If I was an asymptomatic case, and I walk into a restaurant that had 30 people in it, right? Just walking from the door to the cash register, to my table, to the bathroom, I'm probably going to infect at least 15 to 20 of those people, right? It's an extremely communicable disease, right? There's no way that we're going to get out of this unscathed. No way. But 100,000 people. We have
Dude. The flu has killed more people this year than the coronavirus. So why are we still?
That is absolutely not true.
You a lie? You a motherfucking lie.
That is absolutely not true.
Man, I'm gonna show. Hold on, let me pull these numbers right now. Throw it, cause numbers lie, people don't lie. What is it? Hold on. Numbers don't lie, motherfucking bitches is the whole. People lie, bitches lie, pimps lie.
numbers don't.
But pimps, black men don't cheat. Okay.
Duh. I mean, you had Trump actually comparing coronavirus to the flu, right? Now we're 100,000 deaths in the hole. You know, what was it? The Washington Post or New York Times started printing the names of the people that died. They had an entire page filled in small print, and I think there was only 1,000 people. So you're talking about 100,000 people that have died because of coronavirus, right? And what's Trump doing about it? He's playing golf.
Damn, now, son, you told the truth. You beat me on this one. Fuck. Only 20,000 died. Fuck, man. I mean, not fuck like, oh, that's not good enough. No, I mean, fuck like I was wrong. 56, they said 39 million, between 39 million and 56 million caught it, though.
Oh, yeah. No. Don't get me wrong. A lot of people every year get the flu. I had the flu earlier this year, you know. I get it every year. And I'll say this. I got the flu this year, and I got a flu shot. You know, But then again, I am diabetic.
I don't even know why you even play yourself. That shit don't ever cure the type of virus that's out at the time. Dude, it's pointless to get. And you know what though? Next time you go and get one, I want you to ask them that. Can you please give me the ingredients of this virus? Ingredients have to be for everything I eat on. I think I should definitely have some notion of the ingredients in something I inject in my body, ho.
I do not want to know, because if I know what's in it, I'm not going to take it. If he tells me a bunch of stuff I can't pronounce, I'm going to be like, you know what? Get that needle away from me. I'll take my chances with the flu. No, that's not true. But I mean, my doctor was, I mean, it was basically just like, he was like, have you had your flu shot this year? And I was like, no. And I was like, well, you're going to get a flu shot now. And they just gave me a flu shot.
And I'd be like, ho, you ain't gonna just be sticking stuff in me. It's like you his bitch. You got this dick before, baby? No, I didn't. Well, here it is now.
Don't think that's how that goes.
You know that's not the same.
That's not the same thing?
It's not. It's such a stretch. Did you hurt your back?
I had a flashback. I'm tripping.
But I will say this though, right? There were some experts who were saying that, I mean, like I said, we were going to take a cutback no matter what on this, because it's highly contagious and an airborne disease in a country filled with dumb people who don't want to take things seriously. Yeah, we were going to take a cutback no matter what we did. But there were experts that were saying that if Trump had acted sooner, and acted like he was supposed to,
and not actually dismantled the task force that was able to handle this
exactly
out of sight,
they could have saved more than 40,000 lives if they had done that. You know, like I said, and maybe we wouldn't have almost 36 million at last count filed for unemployment, and we're talking about in the space of 6 weeks. So to have that's Great Depression numbers, to have that many people out of work in such a short amount of time. You know. So it's hard to talk about it because it's unfathomable, you know, that we have a president that just does not care about anybody or anything, you know, and people will come out there and lie for him and get paid for it, like his press secretary. I don't know, Meth Barbie or whatever the fuck her name is. I don't know. I didn't care enough to learn her name, his current press secretary. But she actually said, when they were talking about Donald Trump committing slander, when he was talking about what he said about Joe Scarborough and that conspiracy theory that keeps popping up, you know what she said? She said that it was slander that they keep saying that Donald Trump is responsible for 100,000 deaths. It's not slander if it's true.
Not to mention, it's by his own logic that's true.
Yeah.
In his own tweets from several years ago.
Yeah. Or better yet, he's basically lying and saying he's taking hydroxychloroquine, if I pronounce that right. And you know he's not taking it, because he'd probably be dead by now if he was taking it. It's not really for COVID-19. It's really for lupus patients. You know?
Well, damn, don't he look like a lupus patient?
He looks loopy, I'll tell you that much. I mean, he always looks confused. He always looks like he doesn't get enough oxygen. He just looks like one day he's going to be on a podium, he's going to collapse and die, and I'm going to be like, yes, I seen that coming. He doesn't look. I mean, he's never looked healthy, but he really just looks unhealthy right now. So maybe he is taking the hydroxychloroquine. I don't know. You know, but it's just really sad that America in general is not taking this seriously enough. And I swear to God, if these deaths hit like 150 or 200,000 in the next couple of months, I have no clue what's going on out there. But it's a sad state of affairs. Like, it's like people have been saying lately about America. America is basically a third world country wearing the Gucci belt. That's all we are. You know, this virus exposed us, our whole economy, as a house of cards. You know, and leadership on both sides are doing nothing about it. Pelosi's not doing shit about it. Trump's not doing shit about it. McConnell's not doing shit about it. All they're doing is just shoveling money up to the top, you know, and then have the nerve to be like, well, we're going to cut off these unemployment benefits for you poor fucks. Like, you know, put it like this, okay? Someone like Nancy Pelosi, right? She's been in office for 30 years. She's never had a serious challenger, right? He has a primary challenger, a man named Shahad Buttar, if I'm pronouncing his name right. Okay, Nancy Pelosi, her district is San Francisco. Okay, and like I said, she's been doing this for 30 years. And basically, Nancy Pelosi is basically the queen of the photo op. You know, everybody will forget. And Nancy Pelosi fans are so, they're like, you remember, what was that movie, Up, where the dog had that collar that let him talk? And the dog would be talking to you, and all of a sudden the dog would be like, squirrel! And they would just keep on talking. That's basically Nancy Pelosi fans. Because they'll be sitting there talking about shit, and they'll be like, photo op! And then just keep talking. Like, that's all they care about when it comes to Pelosi is her next photo op or she'll call Trump fat. And they're like, ooh, she called Trump fat. There's fighting words. Meanwhile, she gives Trump everything he wants. She's writing plans where she's taking out paycheck protection plans out of her bills, but she's putting in provisions to give lobbyists money. So now lobbyists can bribe politicians with our money. See how that works? And nobody stands up to people like Nancy Pelosi. So Shahad Buttar is basically fighting an uphill battle, but he finally got himself a high-profile endorsement in Marianne Williamson. And I know what people are thinking, her?
Like, who's that bitch? Yeah, exactly.
I will say this. I'm a believer now because I had my jokes about Marianne Williamson. You know, she was one of Oprah's spiritual advisors, right? Something like that.
That bitch, yeah.
And I've made my jokes about Marianne, about the moonbeams and the crystals and the unicorns and the puppies and all that other shit. But I've been following her. I follow her on Twitter, and she knows what she's talking about, you know? And I will say this, based on what I know now, maybe not what I knew 3 months ago, but what I know now, if Bernie Sanders was not in the race and everybody else who ran was still in the race, but without Bernie, she'd probably get my vote, you know? So this is from The Independent, okay? A video posted on Instagram, Ms. Williamson made clear that she respects Ms. Pelosi's achievements, which she said have really paved the way in profound ways for women such as myself. Don't forget, Nancy Pelosi was the first, I believe, the first female Speaker of the House, right? She said, but that she has become very, very concerned with the corporate direction of the party, okay? She says, we need to take a strong stand for the progressive vision that many of us feel is absolutely essential, not only for the future of our country, but also for this next election, said Ms. Williamson. And as a consequence, I am now endorsing Shahid Buttar for the congressional seat in the San Francisco district where Nancy Pelosi now serves. Ms. Pelosi, who represents California's solidly Democratic 25th district, has not faced a serious electoral opposition in years. However, because California holds open primaries in which the two top contenders face off in the November election, she's now being challenged by another Democrat in the form of Mr. Buttar, who is a constitutional lawyer and a staunch progressive. Now, here's the thing I want you to realize, okay? When they had their primary, Nancy Pelosi got 74% of the vote. In their March 3rd primary, Shahad Buttar only got 13%. So you figure that's not going to be a very compelling race. But it says the left-wing challenger will be able to ride a wave of progressive discontent with the party's establishment following Bernie Sanders' loss to Joe Biden in the state. Okay? Now, here's my thing. Oh, okay. They didn't mean that Bernie Sanders won California, but they're talking about how, Bernie Sanders lost overall. Didn't sit well with people in California. So here's the thing about that, right? A lot of people are pissed at Nancy Pelosi, right? But the problem with Nancy Pelosi is she is Democratic leadership. So she has the power to stifle progressives at every twist and turn. So you have people like AOC and Bernie Sanders who feel like they have to kind of do her dance in order to get something done. But what AOC didn't realize is that the only way to get something done in a case like this is to be on the outside and force your energy from outside, the way the Tea Party did. When did the Tea Party become obsolete? We talked about this last week. When they became part of the machine. They started, you know what it's kind of like? It's kind of like in those movies where you have the drug dealer, right? And he's like, you never get high on your own supply. And by the end of the movie, he's snorting coke. He's screwing hookers. He's not doing his consignments. And next thing you know, they shoot him in the back of the head in an alley. And that's basically what happened to the Tea Party. They're dead in the back of an alley with the back of their brains blown out and coke dust on their nose because they became part of the machine. When they were on the outside, they had, what's his name, John Boehner, they had him on a run. He practically retired because of them. And that's where AOC was most powerful, when she was on the outside, right? Now, here's the thing. Was she going to get a lot of bills passed? Not really. But was she going to put the pressure on them and help get more progressives in Congress? Yeah. Because she was inspiring a lot of people to run that normally would not have run. So here's the thing. Is Shahard Buttar going to win? No, absolutely not. But can he put the screws to Nancy Pelosi? I think he can. Because put it like this, when they run again in November, I don't think it's going to be a 74-13 victory. You understand? I think it's going to be a lot closer than people would think. Because a lot of people are really sick of Nancy Pelosi and her fact that she's not doing anything to help the people. Those bills that she passed were horrible. They barely did anything to help people. Canada's getting $2,000 a month until the pandemic is over. And then they're going to get money for a couple months after that to help them get on their feet. What do we get? One $1,200 check?
And they can't even decide on the HEROES Act. It passed the House, but nothing more.
Yeah. I mean, McConnell is not even he's probably not even gonna look at it, And the thing is, all my neoliberal friends, they think that Nancy Pelosi is playing three-dimensional chess and the rest of us are playing checkers on a board with no checkers on it. And every time that Nancy Pelosi pulls some bullshit like she did with the HEROES Act and all the other stuff, it's just all crickets. All crickets. So I'll put it like this. If I come across an extra couple of bucks, I'm gonna donate to Shahar Buttar's campaign. Even if it's only $10, I'm gonna donate. So if in the off chance that he wins, I could say I was a part of that. And I want to give extra props to Marianne Williamson for going against Pelosi on this, because I'm pretty sure she's going to run again, right? So I'm pretty sure this is not going to be her last time running for office. I'm pretty sure she's going to run again, And I think it's time that progressives really start to really organize and really stick together. The ones who are trying to run and get into office and the ones who are already in office. To just stop playing patty cake with Nancy Pelosi and really challenge her, But the thing is with Bernie, is he actually cares what people think. And sometimes that's good in politics. Most times it's not. Because Bernie doesn't want to be seen. I mean, I'm pretty sure that all the time where he was told that he hurt Hillary, that he's the reason why Hillary lost, I'm pretty sure that does hurt him because he's actually a kind-hearted person, So, I mean, you saw how Whoopi Goldberg was with him when he was on The View, right? He's like, well, why are you still in the race? Why are you still in the race? Nah. Shut the fuck up, Whoopi, jackass. The question they should be asking is, why is Joe Biden in the race? Joe Biden should be home trying to hold on to the last of his memories before his brains turn to melted ice cream. He should not be running for president. That's just the long and short of it. But I think that, I'm hoping that more people, progressive pundits, I mean, there are a lot of progressive pundits like Humanist Report who actually have him on the show. I forgot her name from the Young Turks, but she did a nice long interview with him, and they were answering people's questions and stuff like that. So he may get a little bit of steam, and he may actually get a little bit of shine. And I figure like this: if he can somehow get 40% of the vote in California, I think he could take her all in when she runs again in 2022. So, like I said, I don't think Shahar Buttar is going to win, but I want him to do very well. So, we'll see how that goes. So, and like I said, that's my fault, Blue. I went out of order. I think we talked about Joe Biden in the black vote already. But I will say one thing before we go, because we're almost out of time. And I guess we may as well leave that unless you have one about the Joe Biden versus Amazon.
I don't know anything about no Amazon. Run that.
Okay. I'm basically the world's biggest hypocrite, because I was just telling him before the show started.
You're a fucking asshole.
I am an asshole. I resemble that remark. And I hate Jeff Bezos. I think he's just an animated nutsack for the way he treats his people. You know,
A very rich animated nutsack. I'll gobble those nuts for $1 trillion.
What the fuck?
But you figure it like this, right? Joe Biden is one of those people who like they said, he wants to be cool like Bernie Sanders. Because I follow Bernie on Twitter, and he always says
Bernie ain't cool. Bernie's a motherfucking. Get the fuck out of here. What the fuck's cool about Bernie?
I don't know. He's a cool guy.
He says, I'm not.
Definitely one of them.
He reminds me of one of those cartoon characters. Like Mr. Magoo, yo. What the fuck, yo?
All right, his platform is cool. We'll just say it like
you
that.
stretching your luck on that one.
I'm on my own on that one. If Bernie Sanders cool, huh? But Joe Biden had a tweet, and he said, "I said it before, and I'll say it again. No company pulling in billions of dollars in profit should pay a lower tax rate than firefighters and teachers." Let me tell you something about Joe Biden. He's never said that. Okay? Joe Biden is basically like a subsidiary of the banks. So he's never said anything like that before. Talk about, I said it before and I'll say it again. That's his dementia talking. If that wasn't written by one of his people who handles his Twitter account, he definitely has dementia if he thinks that he's ever said anything like that before. But Amazon came back with a response. Amazon said, "We pay every cent owed. You spent 3 decades in the Senate and know that Congress wrote these tax laws to encourage companies to invest in the U.S. economy." He says, "We have 500,000 jobs with a minimum wage of $15 an hour across 40 states. Assume your compliance with the tax code, not Amazon." Okay? I'm going to tell you why Amazon is full of shit. Okay? The Stop Bezos Act, right? The Stop Bezos Act was written by, I forgot who co-authored it, but Bernie Sanders was a part of it. And here's the short version of it. This bill amends the Internal Revenue Code to impose a tax on large employers whose employees receive certain federal benefits during the year. A large employer is an employer who employed an average of at least 500 employees on business days during the preceding year. The tax is equal to the benefits that the employees receive under SNAP, school lunch and breakfast programs, Section 8 of the United States Housing Act, and Medicaid. And this bill also prohibits large employers from asking questions or seeking information about whether a job applicant receives federal benefits. So basically what they're doing is, and Walmart is especially guilty of this, it's basically, if you pay your employees starvation wages, right, to the point where they have to get on public assistance, they are going to charge your company in taxes for the services that they use. Because this is the point where somebody like Benjamin Dixon, he makes a point about billionaires, to the point where There's a point where you create wealth, and there's a point where you extract wealth. This is where you're extracting wealth. You're becoming a multi-billionaire, tens of billions of dollars, but yet your employees have to apply for government services because they don't make enough big enough to survive, and they're full-time workers. So if you work full-time, you shouldn't have to apply for SNAP. You shouldn't have to live in Section 8 housing if you work a full-time job. And then all of a sudden, Amazon decided to act right and change their minimum wage to $15 an hour. So that was only back in 2017. Amazon's been around since the 90s. So with Amazon, they're basically just talking out the side of their ass. When they're talking about like, we do this and we do that, y'all don't do shit. Okay. One last thing before we wrap this up. This is from TheVerge.com. Tim Bray, a senior engineer and vice president at Amazon Web Services, has quit his job because he was dismayed that the company fired whistleblowers who were trying to draw attention to the dire straits of Amazon warehouse workers. He says, remaining an Amazon VP would have meant, in effect, signing off on actions I despised. So I resigned. He says the victims weren't abstract entities, but real people. Here are some of their names: Courtney Bowden, Gerald Bryson, so on and so forth. You get the point. And I'm going to skip some of this because we're pretty much out of time. But he says, at the end of the day, it's all about power balances. The warehouse workers are weak and getting weaker, what with mass unemployment and job-linked health insurance. So they're going to get treated like crap because capitalism. Any plausible solution has to start with increasing their collective strength. So basically, anybody who's trying to unionize or trying to bring attention to Amazon's internal horse shit, they were getting fired. And one of their VPs was like, I can't be a part of this, and he quit. And wrote a blog about it, trying to expose Amazon for what they really are. And then you got jackasses like me who hate Jeff Bezos and hate Amazon, but I ordered water from them today, and they delivered it that same day. And I'm just like, God damn, I suck. I ordered 2 cases of water, and they were just like, you want it today? And I was like, word? And they were like, word, son. And then they were like, what time do you want me to deliver it? And I was like, between 4 and 6 o'clock today. And they showed up at 5:30 and delivered my water.
Well, I don't like Amazon either, and I work for them. So, yeah.
And that's part of the thing. It's kind of like working for Walmart.
Want me a discount, yo? What's up, yo? Hey, hey.
Nah, you don't get discount, bro.
Oh, don't forget, Felicia Rivers' new book is out. It's on Amazon, so go ahead and cop that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you really, it's almost like a love-hate relationship with Amazon. That dude is so rich,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous.
At last count, $144 billion he's worth.
I might like it as a
And this is
delivery
after
driver.
a divorce. That's what blows me. Like, damn, this dude got divorced and still doing them kind of numbers,
What did
because
the wife
that
do?
settlement was nice.
She got like $40 billion.
She got a
Nice.
lot.
I'm about to marry him. And
Look, that's
What
I
about
said.
me?
Nice.
Aww. I have 153 pesos.
He didn't even say dollars. He said
oh my God.
he said I have 153 Iraqi dinar.
Oh, wow. Oh, so he's broke.
Oh man. Odie, what are your final thoughts?
Stay your ass home. I know we just had Memorial Day weekend and all that good stuff, but stay your ass home. I played it close. I just set up my yard or whatever, for me to enjoy, but it's been raining. If I would have known it was going to do all this raining, I would have waited to put my new rug out. But right now I don't really have a place to sit and entertain myself because it's raining so bad.
Yeah.
But
it's like a tropical
stay your ass
depression or something
home.
like that.
Just stay home.
Yeah. Mercedes, what are your final thoughts?
I'm with stay home, chill out, ride this wave out until everything is said and done with. Pretty much it. Oh, and I guess be careful going out. We got a new wave of cops killing black people again, so black men stay in the house.
It's definitely predictable when it comes to summertime. I notice like the nicer the weather gets, the more likely people are to be out. And for whatever, that's the cycle. When people are out, black people are out enjoying the weather, enjoying their lives, that's when people want to fuck with us. So yeah.
Yeah, stay in the house. Yeah, I hate to say it like that, but this situation,
it's crazy because we already know though, like even when you are staying home to protect yourself, who's to say that my neighbor isn't selling drugs and that they're gonna bust into my house on accident, on purpose, or whatever the fuck, and then just bust the door down and shoot me anyway.
George Floyd was writing a check. That's it.
Can't win.
So,
can't win for losing.
Yeah, that guy was writing a check, so that's different.
We'll definitely talk about that on Saturday.
No, I was talking about Tatiana Jefferson
Oh, okay.
and Rihanna.
Oh,
yeah.
You know.
True. Forgot about that.
I mean, but let's be honest. I mean, he was writing a check in 2020. Wasn't that like the most suspicious thing ever anyway?
No, it was not.
We're laughing at that, but we still take checks at my job, and I'm just like, that technology.
I haven't seen a check since 1995.
I have a checkbook.
I got to write.
I have a checkbook right here.
I can't write money orders anymore because my bank uses bots now, and they can't tell the difference between.
Odie and Sin, please send me a check. I'd like to see what they look like.
I'm gonna make sure I write void on it.
Yeah, but basically, whenever I try to get a money order, it thinks I'm trying to buy hundreds of dollars worth of groceries, and it rejects me every month for the last 4 months. So now I just have to write my apartment complex a check. So.
I mean, old people write checks all the time. You know, I see it in retail all the time. So I don't see how it's suspicious. I had to write a check the other day for something, and Discover sent me checks out of the blue for free. So I guess they got a warehouse full of checks they don't need, so they just stamp my name on them and send them. But yeah, he was doing normal shit.
I was just joking. I mean, but I personally just haven't seen a check in 20 years. So I was just saying.
Not even a payment, like someone paid you with the check.
No, I tell them hoes they better deposit it in my account. They better send it electronically. With the ones, you know, the backwoods one like Felicia and all them, I make them PayPal me or Venmo me.
20 years ago, we didn't have that though.
We had PayPal since at least 1999, 2000.
Yeah, but that wasn't a common way to exchange funds, though. That really wasn't. PayPal was the only thing I used PayPal for once upon a time was eBay. Anytime I would shop on eBay, I would use PayPal. But I really didn't fuck with it.
Yeah.
Like, not person to person.
Oh, well.
I've used eBay maybe like twice, but I paid by credit card. I didn't do PayPal.
I got banned from eBay. I was getting too hooked, boy. I had to get myself. I had to do something evil just to get myself off that bitch. That shit is addicting.
Okay.
Yeah.
In
fact, I'm gonna go on there right now. Shit. All right. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the Urban Breakdown podcast featuring shows such as POLI-TRICKS with Mercer Prescott and his band of eclectic cronies. It's available on all streaming platforms except iHeartRadio, including YouTube. You can listen via flip phone or home phone at 1-857-385-7045. And today's sponsor is Sardines LLC, and she'd like to give her a little 30-second commercial break.
So yesterday was World Africa Day to recognize, you know, the struggles of the African Union and the work that they've done to unite the continent and move away from colonialism. So yesterday was Travel Tuesday, and of course we recognized all of our African nations. So definitely tune into O's Odyssey podcast. It was a good episode focused on living in Ghana, so hope you guys check it out.
Will do. It's one of my favorite podcasts. I love your intro music. It's so beautiful.
Thank you. Shout out to Ricky Rose.